Круто! Мама без работы осталась.
Дура.
She says, "It's cool. My mother stays without job." Shit, is it their humor? This is Krasnodarsky Krai, Russian Federation. Wildberries on fire once again. This is absolutely massive fire there. They lost the storage, like it's completely gone, as one of the Wildberries which was on fire in Moscow region. Well, this one is also huge. And one more Wildberries storage is on fire in Novomyssk. I think it's Stavropolsky Krai, Russian Federation, something like that. So two of the big storages are lost for Wildberries, and totally 4 of their storages were hit, 3 completely destroyed, 1 significantly damaged. It is like a volcano. Usually we see those images from the Russian oil ports or oil storages, but the usual storages, they're the same. Many of the Russians are riding bicycles now. Interesting, why? Yeah, it's gone completely, like nothing is left from this one. In Novomyssk the fire is a little bit lighter than this one, but still huge. Yeah, Wildberries, this is Novomyssk refinery, I'm telling you, storage of the goods which Russians sell, buy and sell. So Ukraine mostly targets Wildberries, since it's the biggest taxpayer to the Russian budget from all of the private companies. Well, this company is affiliated with the Russian oligarchs, but it is very, very profitable. And this is the bingo board about Wildberries only. It is coming from the Russian channels, and you might see that actually 2 of the storages were damaged. One in Majakovsk, another one in Kaledina. Kaledina is the biggest one. 250 square kilometers, that's a lot. Well, I think Ukrainian drones will visit this one once again, but Elektrostal, Krasnodar, Novomyssk, they are all gone. And from what I see, almost all of the storages, they're within the reach. So, for example, Voronezh is very close, but Ukraine now hesitates to hit it. I think Ukraine might do it any time, even with the small FPV drones. But the one in Vladivostok or Novosibirsk, they're out of reach. But for example, the big one in Kazan, it is already reachable by the long-range Ukrainian drones, and no one wants to protect those Wildberries storages because simply Russia is in lack of the air defense. They need to protect Putin, Moscow, refineries, which they also fail to protect. And who cares about Wildberries after all? Well, maybe except those Russians who continue to cry. I think Ukraine needs to strike a Botox factory in Russia. Yeah, Botox and silicone supplies, because it looks like the main driver of the Russian economy, judging on all of those, almost all of those women. My friends, just a short reminder, it's very important for the channel. Please don't forget to press like just right now while you're watching this video, and also subscribe to the channel. It's very important. We are on the way to reach 1 million subscribers. Hopefully it's gonna be this year. My friends, you're awesome, amazing, and if you're willing to support me, you may always do it on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description below, or join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join. Thank you so much for making this content possible. And let's continue with the video.
Встал и пошел фиксировать.
They complain. All of those entrepreneurs, private ones, they lose their goods and they still store them in Wildberries. So I would suggest all of Russian small businessmen or women to take their things out of Wildberries right away. Well, maybe Novosibirsk, Vladivostok, they're safe now, but the rest, not really.
Если честно, даже нет сил реветь.
Georgia, but she is Russian. She just lives in Georgia, but she got her business in Russia in those Wildberry storages, and she is bankrupt right now. But this is the reality of Russia. You already made a first step. You exited Russia, and you have lots of the opportunities in some of them other country. Well, Georgia, they also don't like Russian regime that much and everything connected to Russia. Well, some of them, the great part. But still they're friendly and you're there, you're okay, so you might have your business in Georgia, even though in Russia it was way easier, right? Because many more people, millions of those, but something happened. And it happened not just now, but back in 2022. It was understandable that the war will not be in Ukraine only, it will spread to Russia itself.
То есть, что делать в текущей ситуации?
Okay, business on Wildberries, it's gone. She says, well, actually, yeah, even though Wildberries still has lots of the storages all around Russia, but they constantly lose those. And all of those comments saying, oh, it's just temporary. No, Ukraine will continue the strikes because Russia hits Ukrainian civilian infrastructure from the day one of the full-scale aggression, so Ukraine has the right to respond. And Ukraine harms the Russian economy.
У людей беспилотник разбил квартиру. Сейчас покажу.
Some of the drone hit the apartment on the top floor. But I saw the video, she is fine. I mean, a lady there, she was sleeping in her room. The drone went to another room, she is scared, but she is fine.
Выйду к вам с маской, потому что...
I know I comment about the lips, but come on, everyone from today. No way.
нельзя показывать.
So there are tons of those kind of the videos, and some of them actually blame what is happening in Russia. Like there are the comments about Ukrainian strikes, that Ukraine is guilty, but also some of them, Russian society, they understand that in Russia something bad is happening within it. But it's kind of rare that they accuse Putin directly, because they're afraid, even after all of those losses. So she says everything burned down, she asked for a return, and nothing, like there is calmness. Well, Wildberries, even 1 week before the strikes, they updated their terms of service, saying that in case the drone strike, they will not compensate the losses. Well, maybe they knew that something is up to happen, because, again, Wildberries is affiliated with the Russian regime directly via Kremlin oligarchs, so they have some of the information, especially, you know, seeing what is happening in the Russian stock market. It is dropping down significantly. The last drop like that was in 2022, I mean, with a similar intensity. And it happened right before Putin announced a massive mobilization in the Russian armed forces. And I think it is also coming this year in autumn. So her business is also lost. She is Russian. She lives in Caucasus region, Krasnodarsky Krai. She also lost like everything except her lips. And definitely for them it was the only opportunity to earn some money in Russia using Wildberries platform, you know, they trusted it, but also Russians should foresee like the possible events happening. If their country strikes similar facilities in Ukraine, if they see that Ukraine also may reach very far deep inside Russia, that means that Ukraine may respond, also targeting storages, because it harms the Russian economy, because you are paying taxes in the Russian budget. And from all of the civilian sector, Wildberries is the biggest contributor to this war machine, because Russia takes money to war. 40 or 45% of the Russian budget goes to support their barbarian army, who cancel Ukrainian people just like that. So this is the legitimate target for Ukraine, especially we know that Wildberries, they're sometimes also delivering supplies for the Russian army. So everyone is complaining about personal problems, but no one says about Putin. I saw just one guy was telling, oh, Putin started this war and now we have Wildberries burning. For all of those recent few days, yeah, for the last week, I saw just one guy complaining about Putin. Maybe he's already locked, who knows. But the rest, they're just crying, I lost my business. And okay, like Ukrainians, they lost their cities, towns, loved ones. So business is not that essential, I guess. Guys, this is crazy. This is not an AI or something. This is wow. Just wow. One of the biggest volcanoes in Russia.
Ладно, это все фигня.
This lady complains about the Russian government. She says that they are not applying some of the defense, yeah, for the Wildberries. I wonder, how can you defend it? But anyways, at least she complains about the government. She doesn't specify the surnames like Putin, but it seems like for Russians it is getting closer, yeah? Like, why is it happening? Okay, Ukraine strikes us, is Ukraine bad, but we strike Ukraine too, yeah? And who started the war? Maybe we started it, maybe Putin, because he is our president and we elected him. So, maybe this is the logic?
В связи с их действиями.
This guy says that we should not negotiate with Ukraine. We should like launch missiles. Well, he lost lots of the goods for 8 million rubles. That's a lot, yeah. So he calls for revenge. No worries. Soon there's gonna be a mobilization in Russia, so you will be drafted and you can revenge yourself. Or be flatlined by Ukrainian drones.
Алло?
Yeah, they record those kind of the videos like, I lost my business and I'm struggling. And they post it on social media.
22 июля.
This lady, oh my god, says that Crimea also was hit yesterday. And definitely we have the confirmation also with the video published by MyGuard that the Ukrainian drone army was really successful the last night in Crimea, dismantling substations and lots of the other infrastructure.
Пицца просто сгорела.
Yeah, there are tons, like hundreds of those videos, guys. I'm just showing you the scale with some of the comments, how they are in desperate, and actually some of the Russian officials who are participating in those TV shows, political ones, in Russian propaganda TV, on their channels, they're saying that what is happening with Wildberries is actually good. Yeah, because they were monopolists, they concentrated lots of the resources, and now every Russian will have more freedom. And Wildberries, what do? It's better for Russians to work for the Russian military. Yeah, they are saying about it openly on the Russian propaganda channels. This is, well, Ukraine may continue in this case, since it's okay for them. Putin is cheerful. Putin says that everything is fine. He mentioned today at the briefing with his ministers that the situation in the Russian economy is stable, despite some of the shortages with fuel supplies that Ukraine attempts to do for Russia. So there is no crisis, no fuel crisis in Putin's mind. Everything is all right, everything is okay. Russian economy continues to grow. Like, he's so delusional. He is not in this reality. He lives in his wonderland and he doesn't experience any sort of the issues. For him, everything is perfect. Okay, this is Crimea, Magyar drone compilation video from the last night. In Yalta something was kaboomed, that's the local substation. It seems like we have this confirmation. One more substation in Zimina, and even though Russia says that they repair everything, they don't have those capabilities, especially in Crimea, where there are the shortages with absolutely everything, with supplies, with goods, and this is very difficult for them even to deliver something. Materials, spare parts, and all of that is being constantly flatlined. Crimea is, after all, not that far away from Ukraine, especially for those FP1, FP2 drones, for looted drones, and Magyar birds continue to operate daily or every night out there. And I guess it's already moved on to say about the Russian ships, which are being flatlined also every night. And Russia lost 13 of the ships, including cargo ships in the Black Sea and also Azov Sea, because Ukraine visits all of those vessels. So since the 6th of July, let's scroll, 196 of the ships, tugboats, tankers, cargo ships were flatlined. Well, some of them not completely, of course, but all of them are significantly damaged and at least require maintenance. But some burned down completely. This is the tugboat, a small one, so for sure if it is kissed by Ukrainian drone, it is gone. And no, guys, I don't support this stuff. This is a civilian queue to the gas station in Belgorod region, and you see the image from Ukrainian drone camera. The unit of Ukrainian army is Strix, and they publish those kind of the images. I understand that Russian drone operators, they hunt civilians, for example, in Kherson. They hit everyone, including children. This is crazy. But you know, also doing the same stuff, because in those vehicles there could be kids, everyone, so Ukraine should keep its dignity and not to hit civilians for purpose. And yes, again, I understand that Russia does it. It hits refueling stations in Ukraine. In the eastern part especially, there is no any refueling station which is okay. All of them are hit and destroyed, but no, I don't support this, guys, and you can throw rotten tomatoes at me. Hitting the gas station by the time there's the queue of people, it's a war crime. The gas station has been geolocated, it is close to Belgorod city itself, and it's the biggest city which is very close to Ukraine, like for this very short range. And that's why FPV drone made it there, But I don't support those strikes at freaking all, and if you want to disable this particular fuel station, which could be used by the Russian army potentially for refueling their vehicles, well, you need to wait for it to be empty and later strike, or before the Q strike, but not by the time there are tons of the civilians, because it's a war crime by definition. Yeah, I understand those comments under the videos, I just checked them out, and they're saying, calling for revenge against, in the same way, yeah, against Russians, but no. It's like, you shouldn't turn into a barbarian army if the one that attacks you is a barbarian one, so there should be a humanity after all. Ukraine needs to show that it is on the bright side. Well, there are some of the losses among civilians that you cannot avoid. For example, if you want to hurt the Russian economy, there could be some of the personnel on those tankers, personnel in Wildberries facilities. But at the same time, with Wildberries, for example, cases, you don't strike civilians directly, like it is here. Yeah, really you see those civilian cars and drone flies into it. And for sure there could be the big fire that would take all of those cars with everything inside with it. So yeah, I'm using some of the terminology for the video not to be that much restricted, and also just for you to understand the cost of the casualties. So here you disable one refueling station, which could have been disabled without this queue, so there's the alternate variant. But in Wildberries' case, you disable like the entire part of the infrastructure, and in Novomyssk, I think there are no casualties, no one was hurt. In Krasnodarsky Krai 1, and Russia has billions of losses, not even rubles, but dollars, billions. Here, refueling station with lots of the potential casualties for what? Like, I don't understand it. But of course, Russia does way more of those war crimes. Today, Maersk, one of the biggest shipping companies, it refuses to operate any longer in Ukrainian ports because of the security reasons. And Russia targets civilian vessels that belong to every sort of the country if they operate from Ukrainian ports. And not a long time ago, 10 of the crew members of some of the country, I don't actually remember, maybe Toga, they were also annihilated by the Russian projectile that disabled the ship completely. So yeah, it's the war, and unfortunately there is lots of the happening. But again, I want to emphasize that Russia started everything of that, and Russia has attacked Ukrainian civilian infrastructure way before Ukraine started to hit Russian one, like for example Wildberries. Oh, this is the advertisement in Russian Vkontakte. So they say, why would you wait for mobilization? Go and serve for money. And here they mention the contract benefits, so 3.2 million, that's roughly 36,000 euro for one soldier at once. And then the salary. Well, the salary is quite low, but anyways. And they're already saying about mobilization. If you are mobilized, you'll be paid nothing. So sign up the contract, be hurry right now, because you'll go to army anyways. At least now you'll get paid. This is the advertisement, what they want to propose to Russian people. We also have the report from the Ukrainian general Krivonos. That general was actually responsible for the Kiev successful defense. His army violated all of the orders from Syrsky, Zaluzhny, and they defended Kiev. Well, Zaluzhny actually left some of the forces in Kiev region, and that also saved Kiev, but Syrsky is not there any closer. But Krivonos was definitely like independent figure in defense of Kiev, and officers and soldiers, they're very brave. So what he says, that Russia is preparing an offensive on Chernihiv region. The Russian military recruitment already issued 370,000 notices to army men for mobilization. Plus a conscription is coming soon, so he has this information and today he shared it. So altogether there could be definitely 500,000 Russian soldiers mobilized, and we saw all of those short videos, also filmed by Russians themselves, that they obtained those notices. Some of them are already forbidden to leave Russia. Alright, so Russian General Krivoruchka, he went with his report about unmanned systems of the Russian army, and he said that this year they managed to get 8,000 more soldiers to operate drones. But the plan was, and it was announced officially by Gerasimov at the beginning of the year, I think in January, to get 79,000 of the soldiers to operate drones, at least 79. They got 8. So Russia doesn't have enough military personnel even for the drones, and that's why mobilization, I think, it's imminent for Russia, and they want to continue because official sources, legacy media, already mentioned that Putin is not willing to stop. Moreover, some of the proposal of Putin to exchange territories of Kharkiv or Sumy region on occupation of Donbass, they already passed. So Putin wants to create some sort of the buffer zone in Sumy region, in Kharkiv, and as our Ukrainian general also mentioned, in Chernihiv Oblast, which is very close to Kiev Oblast. But the thing is whether Russia is definitely going to be successful, even with mobilization. So, Syrsky resigned, or he was fired, yeah, but people are still protesting, because they understand that Fedorov was the main driver of those reforms with his team, that everything started to work okay, and just the replacement of the general commander of Ukraine will not change the situation that much as it could be with Fedorov. It's like a perfect recipe for borscht. Like, you need to have all of the proper components for it to be really tasty. For now, it's not tasty, you know, with the current temporary defense minister. We don't know who will it be in the future, but Hamara is great, actually, who was temporarily appointed. But his appointment was unconstitutional. First of all, because he is a military guy, and according to Ukrainian constitution, it should be a civilian guy. But Hamara himself, he is a perfect guy for some of the special operations. By the way, Hamara was appointed by Zelensky after Zelensky dismissed Maluk, after the successful spiderweb operation. Very interesting. So for now, the borscht is not perfect. Yeah, people don't want to taste it. That's why they're going on the streets in the protests. They continue because Fedorov had his system working. It's already set up. But if, for example, Hamara is the next defense minister, he needs to form his team, his company. He needs to get into the business. It takes like half a year at least. And Ukraine doesn't have the time, and people understand it. Like, what was working good, you need to return to that. And yes, Syrsky dismissed, fantastic. Fedorov, the party, awesome team, which will work for sure. And people, they understand it, they feel it, and maybe protests will continue. So Zelensky tried to lower the degree, but still people are going on the streets. I don't know for how long it could be, but so far there are many people. Guys, it's all what I want to tell in this video, and stand by for one more update coming today. My friends, please support my job on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button join if you watch me on YouTube. Guys, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your kind support. Plus also press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. It's very important. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.